Hi, this is Crazy Bark from the Crusade modding community, and today I'm going to teach you how to mod. One of the first things you're going to need is a copy of Crusade, which I copied over from my previous version so I wouldn't have to destroy that one showing you how to do this. The next thing, well actually, you can get your copy of Crusade either from the Game Banana page, the Game Jolt page, or on the forums. The next thing you'll need is an idea of what character you want to make, because if you have no idea what you're doing, no idea of who you want to make, you're pretty much not going to get anything done. Once you have the idea of who you want to make, you're going to need sprites. You can either make them yourself, get them from the Sprider's resource, or make them yourself via the use of a 3D model and rendering it downwards. This is what I do, but I'm not. This is bad, and it's probably going to look bad. You can edit those renders to make them look better, but it still probably won't be the best. Take what you get. Another thing I should mention is that Crusade is inherently moddable. You can go into characters that have palettes, like Crash and currently Fox, and you'll see that you can go in and mod those palettes, edit them, change them, and that'll change whatever colors are currently on the character. Palettes essentially work like this. You change the green, you can change to whatever you want. Red, orange. Then if you want to change the red, you can change that to blue or whatever you feel. However, there's also characters in the game that don't have palettes. Those are hue-based characters, which is actually what we're going to currently be working with, because they're a lot easier to change and mod than palette-based characters. You have to go through a whole thing adding in palettes and taking them back out and changing the sprites, and they don't look as good, but it's much easier. This is what hue-based characters are. The characters in the game that have palettes that look like this. It looked like they just took the slider and just went up and down with it. It's not the best, but it's better than no palettes at all. Aside from that, you can also go inside the GFX and change the busts, change the sound effects, and just mess with the game. Okay, I already had it open. Close. Close. The next thing you're going to want is to actually put in the custom characters for the game. We'll put in the files for you to access the custom characters. Currently, you have 8 slots to work with, C1 through C8. If you actually go into the fighter folder, you'll see that you don't have that anywhere here. That's because you have to add it in yourself. Currently, the character that I was given is on slot C4, so I'll just add in a C4. Whoops. Right click. Actually, before I do that, let me just ignore this. Just do that out of laziness. Right click, copy, paste, and rename this C4. The characters load from the bins, but if you don't have a bin, it won't load from the files at all, regardless of if you're trying to load from the bin or not. It doesn't really matter what's in the bin, because you're going to be modding your characters in the files. If you want to know how to open bins or how to pack your characters into bins, I'm not allowed to tell you that. They're barely allowing me to tell you this. With that out of the way, if you were to back out and go back in, you'll see that guy is still nowhere to be found. And that's because of what I was doing earlier. You have to go into the data folder and then go into CSS full, not CSS This is for when you unlock all characters. If you haven't unlocked all characters, press F8 at the start menu. I'm not going to tell you how to manually unlock them. That's my job. Yeah. What you're going to want to do is add in an extra line to CSS full. All these numbers represent each and every character that's in the game. 1 being Mario, 1 being Mario, 05 being Luigi, 19 being Peach, and so on and so forth. 0 represents a blank space, all the 9s represent a random, and 62 through 70 representing the 8 characters that you can work with. Except 63, that's Shantae. Why is it all jumbled like this? I do not know. But yeah, you're going to add in another line, add in the custom slots for you to work with. Technically, I just need 66 for Guy, but once you do that, exit out of your game. Make sure you save. And head back in. And hit thank you. Crusade! Solo training. And you'll see here, there's a bunch of extra slots for you to work with. These extra slots are accessible in the data folder via secret.txt. This tells you their name, the name that comes up on the character select, the name that comes up on this area, and the series that they're from, so that you can reference their series icon. You can change the names and change the file names and all that, but I'd recommend staying with C1 through C whatever while you're messing with it, because sometimes it just works when it wants to. Also, there's no images here, because if you want to add images, you have to go into the GFX folder, go into the busts and the C busts, and see how this says Ashley, Bomber, Bowser, and all that. You're going to want to add in a C1 or a C4 for whatever that you want, and have that be the character image. Then go into C bust, then go into mugs, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. We're not doing that today. Today I'm just showing you how to actually put in the characters. Data, no, fighters. C4. Currently this is empty. If I were to actually boot up C4, I think it would just boot up Ashley, since I used her bin as a base just now. If there's no files in C4, it will just reference the bin. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Hopefully. Go! That is not a good sign. Oh, that's why. Let me just exit out real quick. Yeah, another thing. You'll see why that happened in a second. Let me just drag in C4 as it currently is. Yada. Place the files in this destination. Okay, there's character files in here. So now it should just load from this instead of loading Ashley. You'll see why it went black like that in a second. So, seen any good hollow films? Still loading. Still loading. Still loading. Well, anyways, while it's loading, the reason it did that is because every character has a thing called an init file, which is the first thing that the game references when booting up the character. And in this file, there are things that says fighter.whatever / whatever, and Ashley's said Ashley, but I copied it over and renamed it to C4, so it was referencing Ashley files that didn't exist. You gonna load the character? Because the Ashley file was empty. Now that I actually have the C4 with all this in here, it should load up just fine. Should load up just fine. Come on. Come on. Okay. Anyways, while that's doing that and hopefully loads, I'm just gonna scroll down to the bottom. As you can see, all this stuff right here is referencing like the stand sprite, the crouching sprite, the mask sprite, which is your hurt box, the crouch mask sprite, which is also your hurt box for when you're crouching. And if you go all the way down to the bottom, you have your weight, your gravity, your jump, your run speed, your run start speed, your run excel. Like, this is all the stuff that tells you how the character moves. The jump, yeah, max jumps is set to 3 by default for most characters. Yeah, I'm just gonna exit out of this. It's not. Yeah, close program. Let's try that again. Oh yeah, max jumps. Every character has 3 by default. That sets it so that you have a normal jump and your double jump. Why 3 instead of 2? I don't know, but that is how it is. And I'll be happy to say more once the game boots up and it loads the character in.
Crusade!
Training.
Training!
C4. Come on. Come on. Come on. I don't want to have to re-record this again. Thank you. Okay. This is Guy. He has a derpy run. Down tilt, up tilt, forward tilt, jab. If we go into his character files in C4 and set it to images so you can see, here's everything that he... Oh, this still has stuff in here that you're not allowed to have. And it also has my fucking unfinished Jin project. Okay, yeah, I have some files to delete before you have access to this. We use other characters as bases, usually in CMC. You're not gonna have access to those. The dev team doesn't want you to have access to those. So you'll have access to the stuff that we made. So I'm gonna have to delete the Falcon and all this other stuff, and the Jin. Although the Jin isn't theirs, that's mine, but like, that's mine, so screw you. But yeah, you can see those are the files that the game's referencing for putting the character in. You can't see hitboxes, so you just kind of have to wing it. That's what we did for a very, very long time. Came out pretty alright though. So yep, jump, double jump. If I were to go in here and set max jumps to 5, that should add in like 2 more jumps. Or to set run speed to, let's just say 13. Control S to save. Reload. as you can see, he now has 2 extra sets of jumps in the air and running around at the speed of sound. After it does the initial dash speed, it goes right to the run speed. Yeah, 30 would have been a bad idea, even for an example. Control S to save, Control Z to go back. Okay. Each character has references to other files that they have, such as the throws, the tilts, well, you'll see when you get the file. What if we go into whatever they are? And if I wanted to edit something like jab, A, B, C, D, E, F, H, J, jab, add with no plus. You see here at the very top, the second it runs, it says if you are running or if you are standing. Your horizontal speed equals 0, attacking equals true, which means the game's saying you are indeed holding down the attack button. State type equals attack type equals jab, image speed, sprite index equals whatever, image index equals whatever. And right here it's telling it on frame 3, or 4 since the timer starts at 0. Create a hitbox. It does 3 damage. It sends out a 70-degree angle, which this little plus facing times whatever, that's a little mathematical thing that the game has to do so that when you're facing the other direction, it knows that the angle isn't still sending to the right at a 70-degree angle. Then it this is hit pause. One of these is shield damage. One of these is give me a second. Oh yeah, this is base knockback. This right here is base knockback. This is knockback growth. This is shield damage. This is hit pause. This is the size XY. This is the X size of the hitbox. This is the Y size of the hitbox. This is the disjoint of the hitbox. How far on the X-axis, how far on the Y-axis. One of these is how long it lasts, and the other one is priority. I don't quite remember, but well, you'll experiment with it if you actually want to mod. And the rest of this stuff you can kind of pick apart. That's pretty much how we learned how to mod. Just picking it apart until we did something. Just gonna set this to 300 real quick. Whoops, you don't see that. Gonna reload this real quick. Yeah, it's that simple. So when you get your hands on the Guy mod, my recommendations would be to get whatever sprites you want, put them in, and then go in and start messing around. One of the important things for when you put in the sprites is that this changes the X value and this changes the Y value of where the sprite shows up. If I were to set this to, actually first let's look at where he is currently. He appears right under the player 1 whatever. If I were to set this to 58, it should move him to the left, since raising the number moves it to the left and raising this number moves it up. Now that should make it so that his standing sprite is slightly to the left of the player 1 center. And then when he moves, it should snap back since the actual moving stuff is... Yep. Yeah, now he's off center. When he crouches, he goes right back to it. When he runs, he goes right back to it, because those were all put in the right place. But now it's off, which bugs me every time I see it. I recommend starting with the stand sprite so you have a good place of reference, and probably the jumping sprite so that you also have a good place of reference. Any other things that I'm forgetting to mention? Anything that might be important that some person might not get and not understand. You put in the characters, you change the things, you change the sprites, you get some sprites. Alright, the step file. Does guy have a step? Control F. Step. Yep. Character underscore equals character step. The step script is something that applies every single frame. So, you see where it says, actually, if I were to say percent equals 10, or plus equals 10. That would make it so that every time I did jab, it would raise my percent plus 10, whether I hit or not. If I wanted to make it so that it only did when it hit, I would say if hitbox.hit equals 1, percent plus equals 10. But yeah, that makes it so it rises plus 10 every time I hit. If I were to put that in the step event, it would just rise plus 10 every single frame. So if I go into guy, it's in PQRS, step. Of course he has a step. He has the walking back thing that the other Street Fighters do. Percent plus equals, matter of fact, let's make it 0.10. That should make it so that he doesn't get to 999 in half a second. Stop looking at my discords. Now when we boot up, his percent should just, yep. Yeah, every frame it's raising by 0.10%. And since there's 60 frames in a second, that's making it raise by 1 a second. If I were to change the speed down to 1.4, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, it's just once a second, 0.10 every frame. Wait, no. 6 every frame, 10. I feel like my math's off. Doesn't matter. You now understand. God, he looks weird. Also, this always facing thing, you can get rid of that by getting rid of it in the step event. You'll scroll down and see it's here some. Well, I'm just gonna delete all of this out the step event. Oh yeah, put in slashes makes it a comment so it doesn't actually happen. Let me just delete all this. You don't need none of this. SF temp timer, SF temp timer. Yeah, you don't need none of this. None of that. Don't touch that. I'm just gonna comment this out. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm also gonna comment that out. Okay. Now, is there anything left that I'm forgetting? Anything of importance? Other than minor things like at the very bottom, if you wanted to make it so that a character could glide or hover, you would say can underscore hover or can underscore glide equals 1, I believe. And then you would have to go on up here and add in a hover sprite. So I'll just say hover sprite equals jump. So Control D. Hover sprite equals blah blah blah. That should make it so that you hold on the jump button, he hovers, right? That should work. Oh, right. You also need to add in a hover time. close. What's it? End it with a semicolon. Or is that just a colon? Now he should be able to hover now. Hopefully.
Go!
Yep, there you go. I set the hover animation to be jump, so it's just replaying jump. I could probably go into the step event and tell it to not do this, or just to be a specific frame, or actually give him a hover sprite, but the point is you get the idea now. Comment this out. Yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's everything you really need to know about... I just need to go and delete those files, don't I? I'll do that later. I think that's everything you really need to know. So, that's it, really. Happy modding! Something. No, that's it. Peace!